monotheism. We take a group of individuals and make them work together with perfect accord. This is monotheism. People believe that monotheism is one God somewhere in the heaven, some individuals, entity, whatever that is, cut off from the rest of the creation. And either we believe in one God, we believe many gods, then we are pagans, and according to some systems, we have to be exterminated. But it's part of the fall of man. They didn't understand what is the real essence of monotheism. It's working together. There's a union of the opposites, and this we experience so excellently in music. You see the level of the musicians, each one of them is expert, top expert in playing the music. All of them focus on the conductor. Otherwise, there's no way that humans, individuals, can work together with such perfect synchronicity. If my pronunciation is correct, this perfect accord bring all these energies perfectly together. If one instrument of them will switch just an eighth, on the scale 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is what's happening in our band. We are practicing it for years on. There's always some people who miss the perfect entrance. It has to be all of them, all 40, 50 players have to, all the tones must to be perfectly. We start one, all of them play exactly. Otherwise, you will scratch. It's just the same like when you study physics, that the energies are banging against each other, or I don't know I know the expression in Hebrew, I don't know the expression in English. The waves collide, or the being reinforced or magnified, magnification or distortion. And why I keep on bringing again and again is a musical piece. Just to give us an example, what was in the past was a true state of humanity in the Garden of Eden is just the same like this musical band. Conductor was a divine beloved, and me, each of us was in one of the instrument players, not necessarily musical instrument, but whatsoever we have been doing, working together with perfect accord under the direction of the divine beloved and the entire system, which in the book of Genesis, I call it the fraternity, the brotherhood of the masters. In the ancient Hebrew, they call it Yahweh Elohim, the God beings, Elohim in Hebrew, the God beings, and Yahweh is plural, this mystical, monotheistic God. It's actually the union of the individuals in creation becoming one in the supervision of the perfect masters. And top, the divine beloved, or whatsoever, if you want to have some glimpse of how the spiritual system is working. And now, what happened in the story of Genesis, we know that they were given 2 tablets. The first tablets were written with the finger of God, according to our legends, black fire on white fire. These are the legends in the mystical teachings of Judaism, which I'm not really very well acquainted. I have been studying the book of Genesis and Exodus under the directives of Baba. And he gave me a few clues and few keys how to look behind the words. He gave me experiences already in Meherabad. I told it in the past. I had the vivid experience, the very first verse which is not in the beginning, but this was, I saw it as if the process that oneness was being differentiated to manyness. And we'll continue sharing the book of Genesis. And after that, I'll share with you a few more anecdotes in current situation and all kinds of things which I keep on discovering, which might be of interest for you. So this session, you know, as before, contains all kinds of issues. Then you can actually skip this and watch this and go from here, go from there. It's up to you. I don't care what you're doing. If you are interested, but the basic thing, the real issue I have been conducting this. So all of us who are associated with the Divine Beloved will continue focusing on him in spite of the turmoil around. Just ignore everything. Don't keep on criticizing, judging this group of people. These are the good ones, these are the bad ones. I like this politician, I hate this one. You are being enmeshed with the ignorance of duality of this fake world, and you force yourself to keep on stepping destructive sanskaras. I've been seeing it over and over again in this Baba community, people judging this one, judging this one. This is a good person, it's a terrible person. We don't know what is behind the veil, and Baba told us time and again, I'm the soul conductor, leave everything to me. Don't get involved with this world. Will suffer a setback. And experience is grief. A long time ago, in some of my sessions, of course, I've never asked him, what do you think about this world? But I experience his grief that most of his lovers are losing this game. And this is the only tragedy I see in this world. People come and go, they suffer, there are wars, and why the children are hungry? We didn't come here to eat or not to eat. This is not the purpose. We came here to advance the spiritual ladder, which we are not doing. So since we are going backwards on the design, the humanity decided to commit spiritual suicide and going back to the beyond state. This is the inclination of humanity. And of course, this cannot be, it's against the design. So either the management of the world will decide to take all this body of obnoxious humanity and throw it back to the beyond state. Such disasters do happen. Just imagine 12 billion years of suffering would go in vain. That's a real disaster. This you don't understand. So all the Holocausts of the world in the past few thousands of years are insignificant. All what we have achieved, painfully, would be lost. We had to start from clean slate from the very beginning as nothing, to start as a basic individual with the electrons and things without any consciousness. Everything will be erased. That's what would be. This is the meaning of going back. This humanity wants to go back to the beyond state, back to the heavenly womb, where you don't have any consciousness and no responsibility. That's the case of humanity. And the only one who prevents it is the Divine Beloved. The avatar is a sole responsibility. I think I write it in my skits, a divine hierarchy. The Lord of Lords are against us and want to get rid of us, and the only one who is against, who prevents this, is Avatar. When he comes again, he prevents this catastrophe. And we don't understand it. He thinks he's going to make a world peace. He keeps the door of opportunity open. But this is what I've experienced this life. That's my understanding. And it came from whatever it came, I think. Okay, continue the book of Genesis. Well, it's hiding, always have to find it somewhere. Are we talking about the story of the reconstruction of spiritual focus on earth? Lord Abraham came and physically started to establish a family. We learned before the fall of man. You can study all the things. Baba speaks also about this in The Nothing and Everything, which Baruch Kachuri wrote. But here is the first original version for more than 3,000 years ago, talking about whatsoever Baba spoke about the divine theme and everything, all these stories, everything is here. That's why inspired me to go and study all this book. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I'm doing it because he gave me the spark of inspiration. Then I go over this, and when I concluded all this sojourn of studying these two books of Moses, Genesis and Exodus, only by the end of it I have realized the significance, the spiritual significance of all these books, which is extraordinary. And I've experienced many insights which I haven't seen before in any of the commentaries, even the top commentaries of the Hebrew on the Torah experts the past 2,500 years. Now Yaakov, we spoke before, he became Israel. Yaakov, sixth plane master, spoke just to return it again. As Israel is a seventh plane master, he became one with God. And he continues to establish his family of 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel, which is the nucleus of rehabilitating humanity and to start the possibility of recreating the spiritual focus on earth. And as said before, we have the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 tribe of Ishmael, the father of the Arabic nation. Israel was supposed to reconstruct the spiritual aspect, Ishmael, the material aspect. The material aspect was supposed to protect the spiritual aspect. The spiritual aspect was supposed to uplift the physical aspect, etc. And here we have the two sons, Yaakov or Jacob and Esau or Esav. Esav is hairy in Hebrew, etc. We spoke about the last session. And we continue the story. Here before here, we spoke about this. And he was fighting with the angels. He was about to cross the Jordan Valley to the land of Israel, to the promised land of Canaan those days. An angel was standing before him, preventing the entry. And Jacob was a very powerful man, defeated the angel of the Lord, who could cope with Yaakov. So the angel asked him, "What is your name?" He said, Yaakov. He said, "Thy name shall be called no more Yaakov, but Israel, for thou hast striven with Elohim and with man, and hast prevailed. And for according to my understanding, the whole portrayal crossing the chasm between the sixth plane and the seventh plane, some divine entity or messenger comes and help you to cross this chasm from sixth plane to seventh plane, which these days we cannot do it anymore by ourselves. Even it was in the ancient times, a very, very, very long time ago, hundreds of millions of years ago, they could have done it naturally as Avatar became an avatar naturally by himself. And that one's a very few individuals who succeed to become perfect masters, even the past 10,000 years, to my humble understanding. But this is extremely rare. And basically, we cannot do it because we don't have the mental capabilities of bringing the internal scars to total perfect balance. So they will erase each other. Yaakov was not born gifted with superconsciousness as his grandfather Avraham, we call him Abraham, we call him Avraham in Hebrew, was, he achieved it through hard, painful labor. He is the first person mentioned in the Torah to attain this state by himself. In fact, this is not precise. A person cannot attain super consciousness in the present period solely by himself, as was possible in the initial era. In the Torah story, Yaakov struggles with an angel, which also means messenger. And when he defeats the angel gives him super consciousness. Then Yaakov's name changes. The angel mirrors Yaakov's inner state, the inner kind he must overcome, and also represents the circle of Yahweh Elohim. Overcoming the inner kind generates tremendous power in a person that enables him to actually attain super consciousness. If the aspect of Cain did not exist, there would be no deep need in man to make an effort to attain this level of consciousness. The scenario described in the Torah symbolizes a state of the advanced spiritual person who has almost reached the destination between him and the goal of creation. There is a deep chasm, difficult to pass, symbolized by the Yarden Valley. Actually, Yarden is Hebrew. For whatever reason, the translator, whenever it says Yaz, it turns into J. Like Yehoshua, they call it Jesus. That was presumably more comfortable because started translation this expression to Greek. But this is not our issue. The Yarden Valley with a river that passes through it. It's actually the deepest valley on Earth, more than 300 meters below sea level. This description fits precisely with various spiritual traditions that describe the stages a person goes through until he fulfills his spiritual goal and crossing the valley or the chasm, separating man from the goal, requires the help of a messenger who himself has undergone this process in previous lifetimes. I repeat myself here for a reason. An angel in Hebrew is also a messenger. When a person reaches a stage where he is supposed to receive superconsciousness, a messenger is sent to help him finish the process. In the first stage, I think I repeat myself. This sentence, I'll check it later. Repetitious. The problem is the formation of how to remove deposits in the darkness of the subconscious mind inaccessible to the awake consciousness. In the first age, these sediments were not in such a rigid state as they are today, or did not exist at all. When the spiritual circles are functioning normally on Earth, there is almost no accumulation of sediments in the darkness of subconscious. Sediments are sanskaras, and in fact, these darkenings are dealt with regularly in a way that modern psychology has almost no idea. In fact, every person who has transcended this, his inner self, in a trade, Hevel consciousness automatically joins this circle. This is in fact the destiny of humankind, and the circle is open to anyone who is entitled to it. Even the worst criminal can join this circle if he succeeds in transforming the consciousness of Cain into the consciousness of Hevel, or at least reaches the awareness that this is the purpose of creation, and begins to serve creation instead of robbing it. Yaakov Israel gives birth to 12 sons, representing the 12 mental structures that are supposed to constitute the basic spiritual circle. 12 people who are supposed to be focused on super consciousness and manifest it on earth while working together in harmony. This was the mission of the children of Israel, to restore the spiritual circles on earth. Okay, I guess we'll stop here till next week. Abba's willing. Okay, we are here again. We have been touching on key fundamental issues of the creation. And if you would understand these stories, you would have the key for the restoration of mankind. But unfortunately, this opportunity, which was given more than 3,000 years ago, was foiled. We spiritual people, most of us, some of us, didn't understand it properly, didn't take spiritual responsibility, didn't handle our responsibilities properly. Later on, we'll see that we failed to obey Master Moses, the conductor of the symphony. And that's why we have rendered this cacophonic living on earth. And we keep on blaming others. We should blame on ourselves. Also blaming ourselves is not the issue, but at least to understand. But to my understanding, we crossed a no-return line a long time ago. And presumably, practically, we cannot re-establish the spiritual focus on earth by our own means. And this is the reason why the avatar has to come again and suffer in order to give, if at least every 100 years one person achieve God realization, this is a good enough excuse to keep on all this human cacophony in the cosmos, the suffering. If you would open your spiritual ears, would be opened, we would drop the body instantly from the sound of the cry of the entire creation, the physical creation. The minerals, plants, and animals forget humanity. You would hear their cry, how much they are suffering because of us. You drop, you would lose your consciousness. Maybe you fall all the way back to the beyond state. You cannot believe it. It is being concealed from our eyes because we will lose any possibility of render even the smallest work we have been doing. And the suffering of humanity is because we are subject to the law of karma. All the evil we have created the past 10,000 years, we have to come back and reap the harvest. If I have murdered 100 children during a siege on a city, then I have to, and I killed 100 children or starve them to death. We used to do it. You just read the history of what we have been doing. What the Roman Empire have been doing, just as entertainment in the Colosseum. They murdered at least 500,000 people who were fought to death during the 1,000 years of till the Christians took over and stopped this. The estimation 500,000 humans died there and 1 million or 2 million of animals. And all this karma must to be straightened. All these people who committed all these atrocities or whatever you call it, they must come again and reincarnate, born as slaves and be sick and suffer wars and be victims of wars. It has to be. If I killed 100 people, I must come back and get killed 100 times. This is the law of karma. And not 100 times. According to the law of Moses, to straighten up the mass as a to even the scale. It's not that if I kill 100 people, I have to be killed 100 times, I have to be killed 200 or 300 times. We'll study it later when we get to the law of Moses in the book of Exodus. It explains very well the working of the law of karma. So all of us are complaining why there are wars or why there's so much suffering. We simply ignore the law. The law is just, it's perfectly just. And Baba himself and his master were conducting 2 world wars. And what happened when Baba and the masters were conducting these horrible situations? He releases hundreds of millions of people from the bondage of self-imposed sanskaras and allows them to re-enter the spiritual path. That's why he was doing it. Otherwise, he won't do it. And then Baba said, for example, on Hitler, my nazar is on Hitler. They tried to assassinate him, I think, 8 or 12 times. They didn't succeed. Till his time was over. And these are Baba's words. And we hear today that the wars have never ended, only increased. And we don't understand, but we are the ones who are supposed to understand. And when I see the response of the people of this community concerning the constant wars everywhere, and many of them blaming Israel with, I'm an Israeli, don't blame the Arabs, don't blame the Israelis. I'm simply working on the sanskars, giving it to the Lord. This what I was trained, this is what we should do. So sitting on a pedestal of judgment, just do your work. Don't complain all the time. Because one of my first lessons, Baba was telling me, you caused this war. You caused the war. And I went to the 73 war. Because I was quite shocked because actually lost my brains for 6 months. What? Because I was inside the whole thing. So all the tragedy, go to the funerals of my we buried a family and I could see the grieving mother. She was totally shattered. It was the most awful scene I've seen in my life. And to see this grieving mother, Holocaust survivor, burying her beautiful son, who was a genius, etc., unbelievable. I can see this still today. And most likely, most of his scars were wiped out. People are getting killed in war. Baba took care of this, or they understood from the time of Krishna. He has decided to turn this human madness into spiritual tool because, as the beloved, he refuses that suffering will be for no spiritual reason. So he turns this suffering, the war machine, into a spiritual tool to destroy, for instance, scars, and people are suffering, are re-establishing spiritual path. So this is grace in disguise. All these people are getting killed, are advancing. Many are being liberated. Many come back from non-spiritual direct to advanced states. They can be brought direct to the 5th plate, even if they didn't traverse the plates at all. It's up to it depends. It all depends on the justice of the Lord. So they can do whatever they want. You can be brought directly on the 7th plate. As Baba said, I can tear a stone and make it like me in an instant. But he doesn't like to do it. They can do it because even a stone in within, it is a concealed man. As if you take a rug and you put it like this and you see a ball of cloth, but this is a human. Even the very first entity, it's all human. It's all the shape of a human till it becomes totally conscious of its divinity, and then this entity is being merged back to divine consciousness. as we explained on the, when I bring back again from time to time, my drawing of the cosmic engine. By the way, I sent it to Mera, this booklet. Mera liked it. She loved this drawing. It doesn't appear in the Baba material, but it is in a way based on God's teachings. But the Baba's drawing are not so simple and down to earth. For me, because only gave me the inspiration. What do I know of myself? Nothing. Okay, I want to share with you a few anecdotes. I keep on discovering all kinds of cute things. And if you know Masada, I'll bring it up. Where is Masada? Masada. Here's Masada. This amount of Masada in the Dead Sea. The King Herod built it during the end, it is just before zero in our time, 2025 years ago. The desolate mountain on here, you can see in the back is a Dead Sea. You don't really see it because it's a little dry out now, the Dead Sea. The mount itself, it is about, I don't know, maybe 200-300 meters above sea level. It's a majestic mountain. King Herod built here a tremendous fortress. Just imagine to deliver all the way up by hand. They made it a very thin lane. They cut a very thin lane just for mules. I walked on this lane many years ago in the 60s. We made there a tour. It's a must visit for our schools in Israel. Today, there is a cable car. I don't see it here. Maybe this picture before that. Here on the right, you see these Romans, when they put a siege after the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, 70 AD, the people who started the rebellion, some lunatics who thought they could cope with the Roman Empire and instigated this rebellion against Rome. And these people, they were criminals by themselves, but I'm not getting into it. They were hiding on the mountains. They had supplies, water supplies of food for many years. And the Romans, in those days, there was no such a thing. They didn't conquer any fortress. They built this, you see, this is a kind of what you call a deck or a slope. They built it with wood. They put wood on top and gravel on top of it. They kept it at least 10 or 20,000 Jewish slaves just to build this ramp and do this so they can bring their war machine all the way up to break the walls of the fortress and capture the rebels. There are about 900, there are more or less than 1,000 rebels hiding here. And so they are invincible, but nothing stopped Rome. And when the Romans came all the way up here with their army and war machine, there were at least 10 or 20,000 soldiers surrounding this hill. A whole legion, at least one or maybe more, a legion, 10,000 soldiers. And this is very dangerous desert, one of the most dangerous deserts in the world. More water, no supplies. Just imagine the logistics of transferring here amount of water for 10,000 men every day, food, and the kitchen and the It's unbelievable. The Roman Empire, nothing stops them. You can't stop this war machine. They would harness, if they would need to harness 50,000 men or transfer all the way supplies from Jaffa or from Jerusalem till here, which is a few days walk, they would do it. When they decide to finish somebody, nothing could have stopped them. Now, this is 1960, just a couple of months before the war, in 1967, I was stationed here with my military unit, and every morning I was running before sunrise. I was running all the way up here and watching the sunrise over the Dead Sea, which is one of the magnificent scenes in the world. Unbelievable. And now what happened here? During excavations, they discovered food and grains of seeds of dates for more than 2,000 years ago. And now what happened? Our experts took these seeds and tried to revive them. Let me see, where is this? Here it is. Now, our experts took a seed of a date tree from 2,000 years ago. These are the seed grains. Each time you eat a date, this is a seed. They took these seeds, they discovered 32, and 6 of them germinated. And this is a plant of one of them. Here's a planting. After 2,000 years, a dead tree was revived. It came to life again. Unbelievable. And here is the tree itself. It's not a regular jade tree. It's actually a species which was extinct from the land of Israel ever since. And we call it the date of Metushelach. What is Metushelach? He was the oldest man on earth. So this tree is more than 2,000 years old, actually. Even it was born the past, I think by now it's about 20 years old. It's quite amazing. So this is what I want to share with you as an anecdote. And let's see if I want to share something else. I keep on discussing for your entertainment. Let's see. I think it's enough for today. We had a good, interesting time, I believe. I hope so. But willing, we'll meet again next week. Thank you very much. Stop the sharing. Recording.